Okay, thanks everybody for being here. You're all aware now that John Buck and Marlon Byrd have been traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates for a young prospect and a player to be named later. Before we start with questions, I just want to take this opportunity to thank both John and Marlon for their contributions to the Mets this year. John did an exceptional job behind the plate, and we appreciate his willingness to work with Travis d'Arnaud, potentially mid-season and certainly toward the end of the season. And of course, Marlon's had a terrific year, should be comeback player of the year, and we expect he'll make a big contribution to the Pirates. And we thank him for everything he's done here, and he's been a great teammate as well as terrific in the clubhouse. Having said that, questions?
Can you just tell us a little bit about the kid you got back and why he was part of the deal?
Well, Cabrera is a young 19-year-old Colombian infielder. He's got some power. He runs pretty well. He's probably a second baseman, but is very young for his league. He's in the South Atlantic League, and so we're very pleased to have him. We think he's an exciting talent, has, again, multi-dimensional in a sense, and we'll see where it goes.
Who's next?
Yes?
Just on it for a second. I know seasons are wrapping up. Would he go to a minor league team or just call it a year at this point? Would he just call it a year at this point?
I think, no, I think that he will go probably to Savannah. And Savannah is in the playoffs, so they have a few games left in the regular season, and I would hope that he's able to play for them in the postseason.
Just the other thing that I mean, could you contrast why now is the right time with Byrd as opposed to July 31st? Is it simply packaging a buck now? You're able to get a guy who's in the futures game, whereas in July that wasn't available?
Well, at the end of July, it was a 29-team market. In this case, it was a one-team market because both of these deals were pursuant to a waiver claim. That notwithstanding, the value, at least our perception of the value in this instance, was greater than the value at the end of July. And of course, we were also looking at 60 additional days of Marlon Byrd at the end of July versus about 30. So, there are different factors involved, but we very definitely feel that this was a better package for us than we could have obtained in July. One other thing I'll mention about the timing is that, there's some speculation about how this is tied to Matt Harvey's injury. There's really no specific association. This was more coincidental than anything else. The waiver request was put in on Friday. Claim was made Saturday, Sunday, and discussions had taken place well before Matt actually saw the doctor on Monday. So, from that standpoint, there's really no direct connection.
Okay. Who's next? We hear John. You good? Oh, no. Lloyd.
Sandy, obviously the manager wants to win as many games, Terry Collins wants to win as many games as possible. He doesn't have a contract next year. You have to evaluate, I guess, his short-term goals. The organization clearly is looking for long-term goals here. Is it going to be tougher to evaluate? Have you spoken to Terry about this dichotomy?
Well, first of all, we all want to win as many games as possible, but my role is to balance the short-term with the long-term. I have said before and would reiterate that how Terry is evaluated is beyond simply wins and losses. We've talked about that before. To the extent that it's perceived that this will make it more difficult for him to win, and I don't necessarily hold to that belief. Obviously, all the circumstances will be taken into account.
Mike?
Sandy, you mentioned before that, it was a 2019 market, but because of the way this works, it becomes a one-team market. Was there any concern, I guess in late July, if we let this opportunity pass, some team in August will use the claim as a block and won't be able to?
Well, we understood that was a possibility, but nonetheless, we felt that Marlin was sufficiently important to us and perhaps undervalued by the rest of the market in July, and so it was an easy pass for us. And I can tell you that we thought very strongly about keeping Marlin even under these circumstances. So we had the alternatives in mind. We understood that he might be with us for the balance of the season, and we were perfectly willing in late July for that possibility.
And
Would you expect, I don't know specifics, but would you be expected to be done at this point as far as trades, or there's still something that could materialize?
I think it's unlikely that anything else would materialize.
Howie?
Sandy, would your preference be now to see Dendecker for a significant amount of time in September to give you a heads up on next year?
Well, I think that that's up to Terry. Dendecker is on his way. Andrew Brown's done a nice job for us and might see some more playing time. There's some other possibilities potentially. So I think that the opportunity to open playing time to others was one of the benefits of this. Obviously, the downside is that we give up someone like Marlin, who's performed very well. But this does give us an opportunity to see some other people.
Also, with no reflection necessarily on Anthony Recker, but as you put things together for next year, assuming that Darno is the guy that's going to carry most of the load, do you want an older, more experienced, sort of prototypical backup catcher to work with him?
Well, I think that's one of the things that we may be able to determine, at least to some degree, the rest of this season. Recker will be here. We'll probably bring up another catcher. I think there is a premium on an experienced guy behind the plate. On the other hand, some young catchers are very talented, and we have to decide exactly which direction we want to go. But I wouldn't say that there's a presumption that we'll have an older, experienced guy. We're fortunate that we've got on our coaching staff some experienced catching. So I think we're in that regard we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Andy?
Sandy, you've mentioned a number of times that you find it important to finish 2013 with some positive momentum going into next season.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think over the last 2 days that's changed? The organization's ability to attain that goal has changed, if at all?
Well, I don't think that this deal changes anything. This is a baseball deal. This is a typical deal late in the season. Players going to a playoff contender, and in this instance, the Mets acquiring some future talent. When you juxtapose this deal with the Harvey injury, it's easy to conclude, well, things have gone south. And in fact, although this deal and the Harvey injury were coincidental, one of the concerns we had was the sense that, okay, the two of them together might send, the wrong message. So to the extent there was any influence in this situation from the Harvey injury, it would have been not to do the deal. But we felt this was in our best interest. We want to finish as well as we can, but the sense we create on the part of the fans and their confidence in the future is also a function of more than wins and losses. It's about the talent. It's about the direction of the team, and I think this move will be weighed in that sort of broader sense than just how well we do in the month of September.
Any last questions for Steve? Yeah, last one, Adam.
Was there any consideration to bring back John Buck next year as a back Darno, or given his stature and the salary he would command, that would have been practical? Was that any calculation in this? Did you go to him first and ask if you'd entertain something like that?
Look, as of this moment, as opposed to 3 hours ago, that would constitute tampering, and I'm not going there. You know, both of those players will be presumably free agents at the end of the year, and they'll be free to talk to anybody, and that's something that I'm sure they'll approach at the appropriate time.
It wasn't something pre-trade though, where you
No.
went up to him and said, hey,
No.
you understand that?
No.
You touched on Hefner before. Hefner.
Jeremy Hefner will have surgery. He will have it in New York at HSS. Not sure exactly the date, but it will be shortly. He did get a second opinion from Dr. Andrews in Alabama, but Dr. Alchek will be doing the surgery.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay?
Okay.